Good morning, everyone. Welcome along to Barcelona here in Spain for the final round of the GT4 European Series powered by Rafa Racing Club. It is championship deciding day and it is hot. 25 degrees air temperature, track temperature now into the 30s. The humidity a lot higher than yesterday, which means just wandering around the paddock is an effort. Imagine getting into some of these GT4 cars. Our championship leader has the pole position. His championship challenger is 6th on the grid, and those are the two cars that we are going to be watching like a hawk. We've lost a few cars after yesterday's accidents, and we are down then to 40 cars to start this grid. But GT4, as always, a packed grid and lots and lots to look forward to as we come to the 23 conclusion. My name is Ben Costa-Juris. I've got David Addison alongside me, and that is Gabriel Piana, who is going to be starting today. We have the faster of the two drivers in the Pro-Am categories starting for the Silvers and Silvers. It's a bit of a free-for-all.
Silver is where the real attention is going to be. You're quite right, Ben, because the point for pole position goes the way of Gabriele Piana and Michael Schrei. They didn't qualify that well for yesterday's race, but they got a decent result out of it in the end, courtesy of a couple of safety car periods and some good driving by Piana. They ended up 7th overall, which was 6th in class. So they come into today with an advantage in the championship of 16 points. The opposition are there, Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consani. They basically need to win with the BMW 5th or lower to overcome that 16-point deficit. So it's advantage BMW, but it's not signed or sealed nor delivered as yet. Gemma Scott is down on the grid, and Gabriele Piana in the car is ready to have a quick word before he goes racing. Let's join Gemma on the grid.
Gabriele, what's the gap going to be at the end of the first lap? You're going to pull away quick here.
That is certainly the goal. Starting from pole, it means that you have a little bit the advantage. So the objective is to use this advantage and then try to have a clean race and not worry too much about what's happening behind us. Hopefully it works out so we can have a clean race with no particular problem.
And setting it up, of course, for Michael to jump in for the second part.
Yeah. It's probably going to be a very stressful 25-30 minutes for me, because when I'm out of the car, I am not that as cool as I am when I'm driving. But let's see. Races can go many ways, so we are here. We do our best, and let's see what happens.
Best of luck. Thank you very much.
So Gabriele Piana starts in the car that was so successful in the German Championship as well last year. Now already we've got a car under investigation for the start procedure, and it is number 75, Ivan Jacoma and Nicky Leutwiler's Porsche Cayman. So that presumably is in terms of how the car left the pit lane and made its way around to the grid.
Yeah, curious. It's literally below us in our commentary position here. There's a little gap behind the car because the number 88 Mercedes is missing.
As yesterday.
No, it was here yesterday.
I thought that was the one that didn't start because we had a gap on the grid yesterday.
Yeah, that was the Alpine. We thought it was, or maybe it didn't start. Either way, it was in the paddock earlier on because it was on display in NM Racing's warning. Strange. It did not start yesterday, and it hasn't started today, but it is in the paddock.
And it's not withdrawn.
And it isn't in bits.
No, it's all a bit odd. Anyway, so there is a gap on the grid, is what we're saying, because Alexander Weintraub's car is missing. Now, we've heard from one of the championship fighters. What about the Audi opposition? Benjamin Lariche now is with Gemma.
Benjamin, we saw yourself and Robert yesterday just climbing through the field, really pushing hard. There's still a chance for this championship.
Yeah, we're still in a battle in a championship, so yeah, we'll try to do a good job. I think the key point is the degradation of the tires. So we took a big risk to change the setup, to try to improve our performance and come back to the pace on race with the BM, and yes, we'll see what's happened.
Despite making it look easy yesterday, you both said that the car was not easy to drive.
No, it was good for the 5-10 first minutes of the race, but after it was very crazy, very difficult with the degradation. So yes, we focus on take good job, and in the last race, sometime it's happened crazy thing. So yes, we'll see.
Bon courage.
Yeah.
Merci.
Never give up.
Never give up, indeed, says Bonjour, La Riche. And we were hearing yesterday people saying that crazy things can happen in the heat, and it is getting hotter and hotter all the time now. So drivers good to go. Yesterday's race had an early safety car process because of an accident up at turn 12, and then one late race with a couple of cars in the gravel, and it took a little bit longer to get them out of the gravel than anticipated. The recovery crew were there in good time, but then it took a longer time than expected to get them out of the gravel, and hence the race finished behind the safety car, and it gave a win, the first in this championship for the Elite Motorsport with entire race engineering McLaren squad of Josh Rattigan and Tom Emsom. They also got third in class as well in silver, fourth overall, thanks to Jack Mitchell and Alex Denning. So it was a very, very chipper Eddie Ives, the team owner, yesterday evening. Really good result.
Yeah, the 78 machine starts third on the grid for this race. The 77 had a lap disallowed, so very much in the centre of your shot there, mid-pack. But still another great opportunity for Alex Denning in the first stint, 78, to get onto the podium. Remember, he was quite tentative his first couple of laps when he took over that car yesterday, but really then got back up to speed. And I wonder whether that car is good and kind on its tyres.
Mathieu Villagomez aboard the Racing Spirit of Le Mans Aston Martin. Racing Spirit of Le Mans, Ben, do explain.
No.
Oh, go on.
We did it yesterday. Tune into yesterday's race to hear the explanation. But it's number 74, and it's 74 because that is the region of Haute-Savoie where the team is based. Has a different driver in this weekend and last weekend as well, because Konstantin Lachnauer, who's kind of been a mainstay in that car for the good last couple of years, moving out of that car mid-season and making way for Mathieu Villagomez to partner Victor Weyrick, who is part-time racing driver, won the French Junior Championship in the Porsche Carrera Cup. Also part-time ski racer / instructor. So if you go skiing and you go to Chamonix, which is at the end of the Haute-Savoie Valley, you might end up being instructed by Victor Weyrick.
There you go. So an ice racing career beckons for him next, does it? That's the next one to tick off, so you can combine all of that together. 15 good to go. Local drivers are then the local team NM Racing. Luc Ibanez, one of the drivers, the quicker of the two, Alexandra Papadopoulos, the co-driver, who is getting stronger, but it is Luc Ibanez who is very much the gun in that car. And there, looking down on the grid, is the Pro-Am Championship winning car 42, Christophe Amon and Greg Gilbert, and Christophe Amon will start the car today. I
think they're also on course for the possibility to win the French Championship. It's still got 2 rounds remaining, so nothing is done for the French GT Championship, which is as competitive as this European Championship. And if you can go down this list of 40 cars, you probably find at least 15 of them also race in GT4 France, and they are at the very head of the field. There is a GT4 Scandinavia. The Bachmann brother and sisters don't participate in it. They actually joined us for a couple of rounds, didn't they, at Spa earlier on the year. But it's good to have Jessica and Andreas Bachmann right in the middle of the field all year.
Ruben Del Sart, who had a drama yesterday. He was making good progress, had a really brave move down the inside at turn 1, heavy braking, and there was smoke. We thought it was just a lock-up. He ran wide, but then parked the car around the lap as though he hit the brakes so hard. Something broke, something failed, and it was the end of his race, which was a real shame, because the car that he shares with Jamie Day, another quick Brit, was going really well. Yeah,
and I think we need to watch out for that car, because starting 13th, Del Sart was strong, Day was very strong, very aggressive, and that could be a contender today. The Aston Martin looked good. There isn't really any particular brand sway. We've seen some tracks earlier on the year that favoured the BMW. Last time out, it was the Porsche that was favoured at Hockenheim. But here, you've got BMW, Porsche, McLaren, Alpine in the top 4. We've also got an Audi and Aston Martin in the top 6. And so the spread is very clear. Sadly, our Camaro is down in 28th position. When they were doing their qualifying sessions, if they overstepped the white lines, then they had that lap disallowed. And I think that has mixed up the grid order.
And also in the context of the Chevrolet, new driver this weekend as well, Lars Zeinen taking over the Kenny Herriman's seat, and therefore playing himself in as well. And it's Lars Zeinen that did the time for this grid, so he doesn't know the car as well as Dante Raponge, who is the other driver. Green flag, he's waved them, cars set off on the formation lap, and they're heading for a championship, perhaps, is Gabriele Piana. Interesting, isn't it, still, that drivers talk about how nervous they feel when they're out of the car. Piana starts on pole position then. Gabriele Piana and Nathan Sharp are on the front row of the grid, ahead of Alex Denning and Simon Thurman. The third row, Berke Besler, whose championship hopes fizzled out yesterday. Robert Consony is alongside. That's the other car in the championship hunt. Mathieu Villagomez lines up 7th, and the AM champion on pole in the class, Alban Baruti next, ahead of Nikolai Moller-Madsen and Luc Ibanez. Then Christophe Amon and Jessica Backman starting 12th. 13th on the grid, Ruben Del Sart. 14th is Tom Emson. Starting 15th, Pavel Lefterov, and 16th after a spin yesterday in the co-driver's hands, Philippe Gogolok's Mercedes. Etienne Shelley is only 17th, and then Louis Merrick is 18th ahead of the Redoubtable Alain Ferte, and Jordan Wallace starting 20th. Jagish Gedich is 21st, Max Kronberg, winner at Hockenheim, 22nd. Hugo de Sadler was given a penalty for causing a collision yesterday, and he's 23rd with Paolo Maloney alongside, ahead of Jean-Bernard Bouvet, Pro-Am winner yesterday, and Greg Feisel, ahead in turn of Marcus Lundstrass. And then starting 28th on the grid is Baudouin Detou ahead of Lars Seinen and Joachim Bolting. Then Florent Grisot and Nicky Leutwiler starting 32nd ahead of Taylor Hagler, and a gap where Alexander Weintraub's Mercedes is not to be found. Lucas Meyer starts 25th. 36th on the grid is number 16 of Guillermo Astor-Arjol, and then it is Jean-Luc Bobelic alongside Cyril Salai. Then on the back row of the grid, 76, which is Patrick Hoffman, and alongside is Jean-Mathieu Leandre. That is the way they line up. Yesterday, this Porsche 22, Alexander Hartvig got roughed up a little bit early on, forced out wide through the gravel on the exit of turn 5, and he dropped back in the pack, and the car never really recovered, but it did win race 2, the equivalent race at the Hockenheim ring, and so Nathan Sharp will start it, quick Dutch driver, and Alexander Hartvig will be people to watch in this race. They're not going to be a feature as far as the championship is concerned in terms of being able to win it, but if they take points off the two that are, then they are very significant.
Yeah, Nathan Sharp in his first season of car racing, having coming out of karting, international karting, racing in GT4 Germany, as well as GT4 Europe, and so relatively inexperienced, although you tend to see that the karters, especially in the early days of their car racing careers, are very aggressive because that is kind of the way you have to be in karting. So with 2 wins to his name, as you said, last time out at the Hockenheim ring, racing there a few times in GT4 Europe, but this is a new circuit for them. So that's very impressive, actually, that he's managed to get himself up on the front row of the grid. He's hanging back at the moment from the BMW. There we go. Now he's got into line. We ride on board with him as well. He's only 17 years of age.
Talk about the karters being aggressive. We've always had lively racing in GT4 European Series. Expect more of the same here. It's a little bit untidy coming into turn 13, but now the pace car as it is gets them all stacked up behind. It is up to the front row drivers to control the pace. Joel Doval, the race director, if he is happy, will give the instruction that the lights can be changed. Of course, the Barcelona circuit, like many, has the start and finish lines in different places. So the starting point is a little bit further down the pit straight. You'll see the lights there on the gantry on red. Gabriele Piana then is the man on pole position. He accelerates up towards the timing line. Lights go green, it is blast off. The final round of GT4 European Series is underway, and the BMW then accelerates down towards turn 1, where he's Audi number 3. It is in the pack as up the inside there, tries to squeeze the McLaren, ran out of real estate, gets back into the queue, but that was brave stuff by Alex Denning as Piana leads the way into turn 1, and that's exactly what he had to do as the Alpine runs onto the escape road, and so also there does Consani.
Yeah, had to do that. I'm not sure whether Consani is driven through the right bollard. There is a bollard that you have to go round at the back of shot there. We saw one car doing it, but Consani didn't do that. Sometimes that's okay on lap 1. There's a bit of contact middle of the pack, and he's got away with it. He has kind of slotted back to where he needs to be. Coming around the outside of him, though, is the Berke Besler BMW that yesterday was in championship contention, isn't any longer.
And a bad start by Nathan Sharp, wasn't it? Because he's been elbowed back to 4th in the queue from being 2nd on the grid, then on the outside line as he was off the grid. So we've got a yellow flag out in the first sector, with cars having tripped over one another and possibly now being ensnared by the gravel. So we'll wait and see whether the race needs to be interrupted as Gabriele Piana does what he's got to do, which is to push. And he does not need a safety car because he is quicker than his teammate Michael Schrei. He's got to try and build a gap. They were almost 4 wide there, which is tremendously brave. It didn't necessarily work out, and the cars now make that run down towards turn 10. and that is the reason for the yellow flag. Taylor Hagler is in the gravel.
He's gone a long way in the gravel as well at turn 3, so may well have just not had quite enough grip, and it's a big old gravel trap to go in there, so no harm done, and may well even be able to be recovered without the intervention. Here on the outside, safety car is being called, that's a shame. On the outside, Constantine was nearly going to lose another position to Villa Gomez there, but saved by the safety car.
Bad news for Piana, in as much as he won't be able to build a gap for as long for Michael Schrei to protect. Might be good news, though, that for Robert Consani, because it will keep the number 3 Audi very much in the mix. So a long way off number 32. And I'm just looking to see if there's anybody else that's been involved. No, I think it's purely that one car that was lost.
So Jessica Batman didn't have a very good start. She's still dropping down our timing screens to 18th position. So that really was a lose for the Beckman brother and sister. Paolo Maloney as well in the BMW, not a very good start. The number 53 down in 29th position. And then the other one that really lost out is the Overdrive Racing Cayman, which was damaged yesterday. That's the tail of the field now, so I wonder whether Joachim Bolting has gone round at some point during the lap, because they were about 10 positions higher.
Yeah, possibly so. So we're behind the safety car. It is all for number 32, and here's the replay of the start. It was a good getaway by Piana, and he positioned the car absolutely right to defend, didn't he?
Very attacking also from Alex Denning. Couldn't really decide which way to go, but surely the McLaren had good speed, as we saw yesterday at the start, held onto that inside line, and then they tried to go 3 wide, and that just doesn't work. The 2 on the very outside go to the left-hand side, but crucially, the car in front went round the bollard. We'll see it here. Look to the right-hand side. One car goes around the bollard there, but Consani in the Burger King Audi does not.
Replay the start from on board with Nathan Sharp. So you'll see the BMW on the inside line claim the lead, and then the McLaren will squeeze through as well. And then Simon Termines on the outside, and he will skip back from the left, look to gain the pace. There he is. So that was done properly around the bollard. I think Consani was behind, so he might get away with it. So yet nothing has come up onto the screen to say that is all being looked at. But yeah, Nathan Sharp really did lose out, 2nd to 4th, and that's the reason that we've got the safety car out, so the marshals can point the Porsche out of the way. So the 2 Americans, much travelled, and the race over on the first corner, effectively.
Yeah, that's a shame also for W&S, because it means that's their 2nd car out of the race. The first one didn't even start, of Xavier Dawson, with that damage from yesterday's big contact. So they're down to 1 car now.
Piana working the BMW's tyres, Pirelli rubber, of course, trying to make sure that the tyres are up to temperature, the pressures are up, the operating levels as well, ready for the restart. It's a 1-hour race. There's the mandatory pit window as well, between 25 and 35 minutes. The track temperature 21.5 degrees right now. Ambient is 25.6.
But this is what happened in qualifying yesterday. It dropped 15 degrees for about 10 minutes and then went back up again. The sensor must be in the shadow of the grandstand we're in, because it's definitely not 21 degrees if you went and lay on it right now.
Sure, you're right. It's a very, very hot day yet again here. As there is running 6th, Robert Consani. Not enough. They've got to win the race. They've got to try and get another 4 cars between them and the number 2 BMW. But it could happen, especially depending on the pace of Michael Schrei in stint 2. So Gabriele Piana knows what he's up against here, and it's going to be a really defensive stint. It's got to be a defensive stint from Schrei.
Especially when you've got Alex Denning, who's trying to right the wrongs of yesterday and almost try and show that they're equal as a partnership to the 77 machine in Elite Motorsport that took victory yesterday. They were the bridesmaid, but today they're in the better position. And so inter-team battling, I think the 2 of them would like to show that they can do better.
That's 32 on its way back to the pit lane. Gravelly tyres, but that means the road is clear and the safety car's in this lap then.
Does it need to go to the pit lane? Can it just join the back of the queue and carry on?
I'm not sure it's allowed to.
Oh, okay.
We have had people in other races trying to rejoin and then being black flagged. So you've had outside assistance and effectively mechanical help to drag the car out of the gravel. I think that goes against you. But we'll see. The safety car in this time, and we'll go racing very shortly. Before we do, very quickly, let's hear from Michael Schrei, watching what's going on. His car leads. He's with Gemma.
Michael, obviously Gabriele's done one great start and now it's down to another safety car start.
Everything is normal right now. We have a good position. We kept the first position, and yeah, right now the safety car restart is going on, and I hope he's doing it as well as at the restart.
Great to see your confidence still high. The championship battle's on. Thank you.
I think so. Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Green flag drops, we're racing again then, and it is Gabriele Piana that leads across the line. Very energetic there, Matthew Villagomez to come up alongside Nathan Sharp. And side by side they are down towards turn one, but it's Piana in the lead. The BMW good in a straight line. Look at this, 3 abreast further back on the inside line is Robert Consani. He's cleared the Aston, he's cleared the Porsche, or has he? He then gets crowded up the curb on the inside. No, in the end, he doesn't gain either place. Nikolai Moller-Madsen is right there as well, and so too in the blue BMW is Berke Besler. It's all getting very busy.
Where the speed came from Consani there, the momentum out of the final corner versus the guys ahead, that was remarkable, but he just got crowded, didn't he? And Nathan Sharp was just being very, very aggressive at turn one. They're squabbling behind them too, so they really haven't got up to the speed of the guys ahead of them.
Car number 75 that was being looked at pre-race is going to be given a 10-second hold on the pit stop.
Car 75, 10-second time penalty to take to the pit stop.
That's the voice of Joel Doval, the race director, echoing what I was saying. A 10-second hold on the pit stop for the start procedure being contravened.
Although it was before the actual start of the race, wasn't it? It came up on the way to the grid, at least.
Yeah. Maybe it did a second lap through the pit lane, which it shouldn't have done. It could be something as trivial to the outside world as that, but it contravenes the regulations. Now, right now, BMW leading the way, and you can see that the top 3, namely Piana, Denning and Tierman, are just breaking away slightly from Nathan Sharp, who's got everybody else stacked up behind him.
Also visiting the pits, the 3rd WNS Motorsport Porsche of Max Kronberg, sadly, so they're having a horrible day today.
That was damaged yesterday, wasn't it? But the car had a couple of dramas down at turn 10. And not getting any better today, having had that outright win at Hockenheim. The leaders coming to turn 14 then. This is the end of lap number 4. 51 minutes of the race remain, and it is Gabriele Piana trying to edge clear as they come up towards the timing line now.
One long queue of GT4 cars, all different shapes, sizes and noises, and all different performance in different parts of the circuit as well, so some will be stronger down this main straight than others. Trying to go round the outside was Villagomez on Sharp through turn 1. They'll be side by side now at turn 2. There they are. He hasn't quite managed it, and Robert Consani needs to be careful here not to get caught up in what potentially could be quite physical. Yeah, the Porsche hanging on to the place. But up front, Gabriele Piana is trying to get away. What he could do with is Alex Denning coming under attack from Simon Thurman. Now there is Robert Consani attacking Villagomez, but he can't make progress. Consani is still stuck in 6th place. Now look at Thurman's Alpine in 3rd place. Absolute best first sector. And Nathan Sharp, dare one say, is the cork in the bottle here because he's got them stacked up behind him. Yeah, and Consani doesn't need this. He needs to clear them. He needs to get on and chase down those top 3. It doesn't look like the Piana's really clearing Denning and Thurman. But there is a gap between those 3 and then Nathan Sharp. And Villagomez, I think, is trying to focus forward, trying to get past Sharp, but has his elbows out and is defending quite hard on Consani to make it even harder for our championship contender. So Denning pulls out, has a look, thinks better of it. Was never really close enough to make that move. Whereas Berke Besler there, look, crawling all over the back of Alban Varuti's Porsche. Look at the way Varuti's going, rubs up against Nikolai Moller-Madsen. Now bear in mind that Varuti is the AM champion. He is very much a bronze-graded driver, but he's racing with the silvers, and he's doing a grand job trying to keep Besler at bay, and he does do. Yeah, he's definitely out of place, isn't he? Although showing exactly the kind of pace that he has. Compromised through 13, which means side by side through the end of the lap. Luca Bagnez using this track so often as a testing ground for NM Racing, and doing much, much better than we've seen that team do all year, trying to get past Besler for 9th. So Nathan Sharp hanging on to 4th place, but it means the top 3 are getting away, and this is making Robert Consani's life ever more difficult because he's now 4 seconds off his championship rival, plus all of those cars that he'd have to try to get past anyway. Number 110, Simon Thurman, must give back 1 position for cutting turn 2 in lap 1. Remember, we saw it from the onboard. So the Alpine is being told to give back 1 position. Wow. Now that's interesting because he's nearly 2 seconds up the road from Nathan Sharp. So Simon Thurman has got to really, really back off hugely, and it's going to be difficult to let 1 car go and not the whole wave. I have no idea how he's going to be able to do that. But interestingly, he did do the right route. He went round the bollard. Even though he gained a position, he did what race control said in driver's briefing, whereas Constantly didn't. We haven't yet heard from race control what they might think. Now, if he didn't actually gain a position, maybe it's okay, but he didn't follow race directions, instructions, and it was a 5-second penalty yesterday for 2 drivers that did that. Didn't do that.
Well, no doubt that the team Autosport GP LS Group Performance will, if they feel that's wrong, start arguing the case if they can for Simon Thurman to hang on to the place. But also, it doesn't say when you have to do it. They might try and do it later in the race, but I think they'll be advised to get it done sooner rather than later, just to prove that they've got the message. However, Thierman is third, and like I say, 2 seconds up the road from that battle pack of Chapelier, Gomez, Consani, and then the other battle that you've been looking at, Moller Madsen is keeping Varuti and Bessler at base. And there is Robert Consani, struggling now to make the progress. The former rally driver comes up towards the timing line. Piana leading by 0.8 of a second. The fastest lap has just gone the way of the BMW driver. There he is. So the Hofer Racing by Bonk Motorsport car leads the pack. And as you see there, the pack turning into turn 1. GT4 European Series, backed these days by Rafa Racing Club. Rafael Martinez is in the pits. Let's hear his thoughts on the season.
Rafa, enjoying watching the race at the moment. We'll just steal you for a second.
Yeah.
How have you enjoyed this season? It's been such a close battle and gone right down to the wire.
It has been. It's been incredible to watch. It's been obviously incredible to be out at the track and get them to watch it live and be able to enjoy the race of the season. But seeing it come down to the wire, it's been exciting. And just looking at the battle today, it's going to be exciting, you know, all the way to the end.
Absolutely. Who do you think is going to get it?
I don't know. I don't want to jinx anyone, but I'm hoping that, you know, it's just clean racing all the way through.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
You've just been looking at Simon Thurman handing back one place, but trying not to get mugged for another, and he has been mugged for another. Mathieu Villagomez goes through. The team responded to race control, saying, we've got the message, the driver will manage it, but he's actually given 2 places away, not deliberately, but he just couldn't get back in the queue.
It was always going to be difficult, wasn't it? And giving away, what, 2.5 seconds of an advantage as well.
Yeah.
A heavy penalty for Simon Thurman. And race control now saying, you're good, but he's really under pressure from about 15 cars now.
One that is pressuring him now is number 3, Robert Consani. And number 3, Robert Consani, is under investigation, rejoining before the bollard. So what Ben has been talking about is now being looked at as well. They've got through the evidence against 110 and taken action accordingly. Now they're looking at number 3, and Robert Consani could find himself in hot water here as the cars come down towards turn 14. The race director looks after the race. The stewards are doing all the judicial. So the race director can say, right, just have a look at that chap, so sort of pass a bit of paper behind him, and the stewards will look and deliberate, and that allows Joel Doval the opportunity to look at all the CCTV cameras, all this footage, and make sure that the race is being run safely and the track is safe for it to happen. As Moller Madsen's white and yellow Porsche comes under attack from Beche Bessler, who gets up the curb and goes through.
Nice. Looking very, very fiery. It's that whole pack is looking very fiery, and all the way around the outside comes Luke Ibanez in the Mercedes. That is absolutely remarkable. Nearly got 2 positions.
5-second time penalty for car 3. Rejoin before the bollard at turn 2. Rejoin the track before the bollard at turn 2.
And that is Robert Consani. Yeah. So they're going to get a time penalty on the pit stop. That is going to go down like a broken lift, isn't it, with the team? But it is what you were saying. He didn't adhere to the race control diktat of where you are allowed to rejoin full safety rather than just come careering back into the pack. So the penalty for not doing that is an extra 5 seconds in the pit stops. Benjamin Lariche is going to have to drive the race of his life, isn't he, to haul the car up the order here because Consani is struggling to get through the traffic. So Piana's advantage over him is up to 7.5 seconds, even irrespective of the extra 5 they're going to have to waste in the pits. Great shot from the drone there at turn 10 as the cars head up the hill, chasing after Alban Varuti's Porsche right now.
He's got ahead of Nicola Moller Madsen as well, up to 7th position now. Varuti's going to have a driver categorisation change, I think, next year.
I think so, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, when you get a solo AM beating many of the silvers, you realise his ability. So there is number 3, Robert Consani, and if the message has got through to him about a penalty looming and the need to push, well, he's still struggling because the Alpine is ahead, and Nathan Sharp fending off Villagomez here.
Don't forget that this first part of this race has got all the AMs in, the Pro-Am entries as well. So the second half of the field has a lot of AM cars that are likely to move up through the field in the second half of the race when the pros get in them, which is always exciting. The two drivers that are well ahead are Veruti, who's up in 7th overall, and then you've got Christophe Amon, who's 12th overall. After that, the next best AM is Alain Fuerte, yes, that one, who's done many a Le Mans, 19th. But basically after that, 20th position, 21st position are AMs, 25th, 26th, and so on. So they're just leading. They're categorised kind of in the right area, but Hamon and Veruti doing an amazing job.
Yeah, Alain Fuerte, winner of the Silverstone Tourist Trophy, the European Touring Car Championship race with Andy Rouse back in 1988. So hugely experienced driver, as you say, and because of his age now, he's categorised as a bronze, but still very, very capable. He's Alain Fuerte, one of two racing brothers. His late brother Michel also quite rapid in his time as well. So here you've got the pack coming once more out of turn 9. See how wider and wider and wider they run. The other McLaren, Tom Emson, there in 13th place. The yellow McLaren, another one struggling to make progress. There's a big lunge up the inside from Christophe Amon. Tries to sort out Ruben Del Sart.
I think he went to the inside of the sausage curb on the inside of turn 10 there. I think he was off track, but there definitely isn't a CCTV camera looking at that bit, and he's made the move stick.
And he was also shielded by all the traffic around him, wasn't he? So a brave effort by Christophe Amon, as there is Alban Veruti coming through. So Nathan Sharp's Porsche does not have the pace to go with the top two, very definitely, but he has got the width of the car to keep everybody at bay.
Yeah, he's doing a great job, isn't he? Villa Gomez just behind. The Colombian driver, part of the stable of Racing Spirit Le Mans for their French Championship campaign, and then joining midway season here and showing he's got just as much pace as his predecessor Constantin Lachnauer. Looks to the inside, there isn't any space there. And now that the race has settled down, I feel as though Nathan Sharp has settled into the position he's in. The first couple of laps looked a little bit frenetic from him, a little bit desperate, but now sitting in 3rd position, all right, he hasn't got the pace of Denning and Piana ahead, but I think he's now got the measure of the guys behind them.
And further back, another big dive comes there, look, from number 15 of Lucky Bagnaia against Veruti. That is for 8th place. Beke Besler having got ahead of Alban Veruti now as well. The BMWs that have really come alive since Q1 yesterday. And there is Ivaniev. He's finally done it. He's got up on the inside of Alban Veruti. Say, just remember your place. You're an AM here, and I'm a silver, well, so I'll go through.
He put his nose up the inside of 4, but he didn't have enough of an overlap and had to back out of it, swap sides, get down the inside of 5, which is going the opposite direction, and still managed to make it stick. And there was a little bit of contact, actually, coming out of 5 because he didn't have the momentum. And I think Veruti gave him a little kind of touring car tap to give him the hurry up, or rental car tap.
That's more like it. I've never heard of a touring car tap, Ben. It must be a thing of years past.
I think Constantly was down the inside of Turman there, going through 10.
Okay, because he was only 4 tenths back at the start of the lap. If he was up the inside, it didn't work for him because he's still stuck behind, heading up to 12. And Nikolai Muller-Madsen has got a bit fed up of looking at the back of Alban Veruti. Don't forget, Muller-Madsen was still the champion a few years back, so we know he can deliver. And he's the quicker of the two in that car. You've got Ekarczyk, less experienced. Circuit looking a bit more like a rallycross track now, isn't it, with the gravel being dragged onto it as the two Porsches ran together over the line. In the meantime, Gabriele Piana being caught a little bit last time by Alex Denning, and we're only 5 minutes off the pit window opening, and you can anticipate maybe 1 or 2 to try and jump out of the traffic early. Constantly to give way to Lariche, for example.
These guys right here need to get out of this traffic, don't they? As you say, usually Lariche the faster of the two in that car, and he's been caught in or sat in this traffic for the whole of his stint. Remember that extra 5 seconds in the pit, so they're going to drop further down. And because the field is so compacted behind Nathan Sharp, in terms of track position, he's going to lose a lot of positions, I think, coming out of the pits. Everyone else is going to do a 76-second pit stop. He's got to do 81-second station from in to out.
That's right, line to line, yeah. So it's going to go against the Audi, and he might even lose a place on track. We're talking about Constantin's need to gain ground, but Beke Besler likewise wants to try and get himself up the order. He might not be able to win the championship, but a podium in the last race would be some consolation. So there you can see the cars wriggling their way through turn 7, climb the hill. It's a steep climb as well, that, up through 8. This is 9 at the top, and then you go over that kind of blind crest, and just as you turn out of the corner, you can see what's ahead of you, and that's that run down towards turn 10, down that back straight. Now, finally, an effort by Villa Gomez. He's up the inside of the Porsche. He was a little bit hesitant perhaps on the commitment, but he has got through on the inside line, and finally the dam is breached, isn't it? Through goes the Aston Martin. So Villar Gomez up in the 3rd place.
Gets the door shut. So now that's a change of strategy, surely, for Racing Spirit of Le Mans. They are going to stay out now and try and maximise this clear air for Villar Gomez, who is fast, there's no doubt about it, and maybe even equal to his teammates. So let's now see the difference of strategy. I would say, though, the guys behind Nathan Sharp will be looking to try and get into the pits any moment, really. They've got, I think they've got another 2 laps, though, to hang on.
It rather depends, doesn't it, on the pace of Weyrich compared to Villar Gomez, as there, Thurman and Constantly absolutely toe-to-toe into turn 1, and the Alpine stays ahead, and here comes the BMW, and here comes the Mercedes also. Luc Ibanez buys into this. Besler on the inside line, Ibanez on the outside line, Constantly with his elbows out, keeps them both at bay. Fantastic racing.
The way that Alpine squirms under braking makes me feel so nervous, but he kept hold of it. He had the inside line, and he kept the position, and almost backed Constantly into a secondary fight.
Indeed so. So Simon Thurman, of course, frustrated that he had to give away a place, which became 2. So he wants to get up past Nathan Sharp. You can see how Constantly is going defensive now. That Audi just not having the pace here. But there is a second speed car entry, which was meant to be helping, but Jean-Luc Bobelic is 32nd. So that needs Jim Pla to get behind the wheel, but it's not going to be a factor as far as any assistance in this race is concerned. So that battle pack is growing, isn't it? Thurman, Constantly, Besler, Ibanez, they're all running together. That takes you down to 8th place.
And now Villar Gomez is checking out, isn't he? Maybe towing Nathan Sharp a little bit, giving him the opportunity to understand what's going on. Down the inside and completely off the circuit is Robert Constantly. He has the overlap, but surely he's going to be forced to go around the outside here. He can't get it done, although completely sideways is Simon Thurman in that little Alpine, and keeps the position for the moment.
Robert Constantly then leaving nothing on the table. The car with this Damocles 5 seconds to factor in as well. Simon Thurman hangs onto the place then. We've got 1 or 2 other drivers being warned about track limit offences, but not out of that leading group as they come up towards the timing line. The window is a minute and a half or so away from opening as they come by. Piana to Denning is a second and a half. There is Villar Gomez in 3rd, Sharp 4th, and then 5th. Well, take your pick from 3, because Besler is up the inside of Constantly on the inside line for turn 1, but Constantly breaks later and claims the place back, but she's brave.
Very good work, but now there's going to be an overlap on the exit. He has to force him wide. Luc Ibanez, we've seen him go round the outside at turn 3 before. He tries to stick it around the outside again. The BMW gets a bit of a slide on as he pinches the turn 3 corner. The Audi doesn't look very strong though, does it? No. It's not really getting away from this lot. I wonder whether that risk with the tyre pressures at the start of the race is not working for them, and they'll need to do something in the pit stop.
We're about to lose a place, surely, because Besler goes one side and then the other. He's clearly quicker, and Robert Constantly is having to work those tyres even harder to keep the BMW at bay. Out of turn 5 now, down the hill. So this is the fight going on for 6th, 7th and 8th on the road, and also in that silver class. But number 3 with a time penalty on the pit stops. When this man takes it over, Benjamin Lariche is going to fall down the order. So the time here being lost by stuck in traffic is really, really going to hurt. Right, the window will be open in 26 seconds time and counting as the cars come into turn 10. So Constantly could be in this time. Get out of the traffic, put the quicker Lariche in the car.
It's not going to quite open for Piana to get in though, is it?
No, but he needs to stay out because he's faster than Try anyway,
yeah,
so he wants to exploit this. He's in clear air, which is your earlier point, and he's faster than his co-driver, so this is all good for Piana. Stay out, stay out, stay out. But the window is open, and who is going to be the first one to bail? Look for cars on the inside of turn 14. There's Villar Gomez, Nathan Sharp is in, Simon Thurman is in, and actually Constantly stays out.
Well, probably because he was trying to do what the guys ahead of him doing the alternative strategy, but that hasn't really worked because I would have not pitted Nathan Sharp. He had track position, and now he's given everyone behind a little bit of space.
But Sharp isn't as quick as Hartwig, so you've got that tipping point of whether you keep a car in clear air or you put your faster driver in it. And the faster driver, Alexander Hartwig, is about to jump aboard, number 22, the Allied Racing Team. See the sort of standard PDK gearbox there, sticking out the gear shift. For a launch, keep it where it is, then knock it sideways and start to use the paddles. There is number 15, Luc Ibanez. So he stayed out because he's quicker than Alexander Papadopoulos. and Bessler can't find a way past Consigny. Try as he might, good defence this by Robert Consigny, even though it's costing him time.
A reminder, 76 seconds from pit in to pit out. So they'll time how much time they need to be stationary in the pits, and that's where the error comes in, because they don't have a stationary time. It's not something that can be policed. They have a in to out time, which can be policed, but then the teams need to do the maths to work out how long the car sits stationary, and then do they have control over slowing the car down if he's a bit fast on pit out. If you do go under the 75 mark, then you'll get a penalty. If you're between 75 and 76 and haven't played a joker yesterday, you could play a joker today and get away with it.
So the order for the next 10 minutes is going to shuffle because of Carl's rejoining from the pits. There is Nikolai Müller-Madsen again. Although he's stuck in traffic, he's quicker than his co-driver, so he needs to stay out. There is number 3, which is Robert Consigny, and he's still got Beke Bessler up behind him, and Consigny's in this time. So again, although he was relatively in clear air, he was defending and therefore going slower, so it makes perfect sense now to get him into the pit lane, put the faster driver in, and Gabriele Piana, as the overall race leader, stays out. Still leading the AM, it's Alban Baruti and Christophe Amont still leading in Pro-Am.
Gomez ahead as well, so as Christophe Amont comes in, going to have a lot more in this second time, but he's going to lose an extra 5 seconds, remember, this number 3. So he's going to drop further away from Villa Gomez, who's got a 76-second stop. Now, watch the mechanics jump on the tyres. They're serving the penalty 5 seconds now, and now they start working. I would be very surprised if the mechanics don't try and adjust those tyre pressures. There we go, on the rears. Let a bit of air out. They've overheated.
So Benjamin Lariche is going to have to be very, very committed in this. He is quick, we've seen that in not only the European GT4 series but in the French Championship as well. And the Burger King backed Audi ready to rejoin. Here in the meantime is Alex Hartwig aboard number 22, and that car is absolutely charging now. I'm not saying Alexander Hartwig, Nathan Sharp in stint 1 wasn't trying hard, but Hartwig, more experienced, just has a little bit more pace. There is then the Villa Gomez, now Victor Weyrich. Aston rejoining behind, look, is Benjamin Lariche, and he's going to jump ahead of the Porsche, isn't he? So down the pit lane they come, and now that they've gone past that white lead line, game on.
One good bit of news for the number 3 is I think the number 74 has done a slightly short pit stop, only by 1/10 of a second, but it may well get a penalty for that. We've seen different types of penalties for that across the season, as the Dante Reponge Camaro goes down the inside of the 67 Paul Petit Audi. Had a new engine over Saturday. That is a battle at the moment, down at 30th position.
Alex Denning has pitted from 2nd, so that promotes Beke Bessler, as there you can see the fight between Chevrolet and Audi, and it is still going to be the Chevrolet that keeps the position then. Dante Reponge getting himself up past Paul Petit. Now you're shaking your head, Ben.
Speed Car haven't served their 5-second penalty. I can't believe it. They've done a perfect pit stop, a 1:15.6, should be a 1:16.0, but that should have an extra 5 seconds in it as well. And so they've managed to somehow get the maths wrong there, and that is highly disappointing for our championship fight. Not confirmed yet, purely speculation. Race control need to obviously notice what I've just seen on the timing screens, but that's very frustrating.
So number 2, Gabriele Piana, still in the box seats.
Yeah, but he lost 2 seconds on that last leg. Oh, Benjamin Lariche is off the circuit. Gets himself back on again, but he was just a little bit wide. Piana was very slow last lap because he had traffic to contend with. Lost 2 seconds from his ultimate best lap time. So there's one thing keeping your faster driver out, but if your faster driver can't drive fast because cars are around you, maybe it's better to try and get some clear air, if there is clear air available.
Let's see, because Piana is in the last sector. This is Hartwig attacking the Audi down towards turn 1, and you can see that Benjamin Lariche moves to the middle of the road to try to defend, but the Porsche looking a little bit quicker now. In comes the leader then, so Gabriele Piana is in just about at the halfway point, so he's built up a 7-second cushion over the pack behind, and now it is up to Michael Schrei to defend, but it's barring a disaster for that car, the championship one, isn't it? Because they're going to rejoin ahead of Lariche, and there's still that pit stop to look at as well.
On board with a 22 then. Alex Hartwig has a bit of space, but he's not going to be on the outside of turn 5, so that's not really the place you want to be. Lariche doesn't need this. He really doesn't need to be hassled by a car that is not part of the championship, but great momentum off turn 5 from the Porsche. Won't really have space to overtake into 6 or 7. He's going to have to wait to turn 10 really to get this done. But he looks a lot better, and Benjamin Lariche is not comfortable in that Audi R8 at all. A little bit of a dab at the brakes through 9. It's sharper than it looks, really. It is a proper 90-degree corner, turn 9. And now this is where the big braking zone is, the big opportunity to dive down the inside. He's not close enough, but he is closer to hold the inside line. Those tyres are cooked on the Audi. We heard about it yesterday, and I think Benjamin Lariche is really struggling. He hasn't got the grip.
So we've got one car under investigation for its pit stop, but not the Audi, which is busy defending into turn 13. Leader gets away, so Michael Schrei should be able to keep track position ahead of those that have already stopped. As here you've got Lariche versus Hartwig coming up towards the line, and the BMW has done an absolutely perfect job, hasn't it, thus far?
Yeah, McLaren goes through in 2nd position. 3rd position for Victor Rehrick, uncorrected, but he is the car under investigation for his slightly short pit stop by literally 1/10 of a second. And then this battle, seemingly for 4th position on the road right now.
Number 3's pit stop is being looked at by race control. Number 11, the Jagish Gedich BMW that he shares with Enzo Juliet, is out with a radiator drama. So there's still a lot going on. And yes, car 3 under investigation for pit stop time. 74 is under investigation for the pit stop as well. You pointed that out, Ben.
Car 74 and car 3 under investigation for pit stop time.
The race director agrees, because 74 was slightly under. Now there in strife is the Toyota number 8, which is Antoine Potti, losing 2 places there by running wide.
Wasn't championship contention yesterday. Unfortunately dropped out of that with not a strong enough result yesterday, but it's a car that has won the Silver Cup in previous years with that with Antoine Potti, and just losing 2 spots there.
So there's 77, which is Josh Ratican, now at the wheel of the car that won yesterday. He's in a hurry. Berke Besler leads on the road. That is Alban Varuti morphing into Julien Piguet in the pit lane.
At least he's got a teammate this weekend.
Yes, but it doesn't seem to phase Alban Varuti. He wins on his own, he wins with Piguet, he just keeps on winning.
Yes.
He's had a most remarkable season. And helps strap in Julien Piguet as, again, side by side, Benjamin Lariche tries to fend off the Porsche. Alexander Hartwig looking for a gap on the inside as they drop into 13. No way through there, but all of this is just cementing the woes for the Audi, isn't it? Because for as long as Lariche is defending, he can't think about going after the BMW that he needs to, so the championship is evaporating around them. And here comes the Porsche again.
Now he's really close, isn't he? Right under the rear wing, breathing in the fumes of the exhaust. Looks to the inside for turn 1, almost kissing the white line on the inside there. There won't be any kind of grip, but he gets down the inside, claims the apex to turn 1, and is well ahead at turn 2. So that is deal done then, I think, and we'll see that Porsche scampering away, because Benjamin Lariche is not happy in the Audi with these high temperatures. The car just not really working for him.
And Allied Racing, finally having got the car through, we're on the messaging app to race control saying not only has that car not served its penalty, but it's also been blocking us. But anyway, now the Porsche has gone by, and we'll see what Alexander Hartwig can do. Straight away, he pulls a length or two's advantage, doesn't he?
I wouldn't call it blocking.
Ah, but you're not running a team, so you need to use the correct phraseology to get your point across, you see. You thought that was good, hard racing.
Yes, exactly.
If you want your car to be ahead, it was blocking. When Constant Endurance Racing comes into the championship, then we'll see what happens. The phraseology will be different. Right now, Michael Schrei, then, is on his first flying lap in number 2, and he's being chased by 78, which is now Jack Mitchell. And there you've got the fight going on lower down, as in has come Berke Besler to give way to Tom Edgar, who used to race in British GT4, and the King's College London student is aboard. His dad, of course, was a megastar in Formula 4 1600 in Mondials, Michael Edgar, a good number of years ago, and now looking after his boy.
And those two came in, Luca Bagna's just behind, came in on the last lap available for the pit stop. In theory, they're going to come out in the top 5, I think, because we're under investigation is the number 74, who's sitting in 3rd place incorrected, and then Benjamin Lariche is also under investigation, and he's fourth, or now fifth behind Hartwig. So I think those two are going to slot somewhere into that little battle then.
Lots of dust being kicked up. Have we lost anybody, or was that just the dust being kicked into the air? I think it was purely cars running wide. So there,
Car
an effort being
75
made.
under investigation for short pit stop.
That is Greg Gilbert going through, moving ahead of Julien Piguet. So that is, if you like, the silver driver going ahead of the AM driver. And what you've also just heard from the race director is number 75 being under investigation, the Jacobo Leutwiler car for the short pit stop. That's the car that was under investigation and then got a penalty anyway for doing that extra reconnaissance lap before the start of the race. It was a second lap through the pits.
And they were given a 10-second penalty to serve in their pit stop. So their pit stop should have been 76 seconds. Add 10 should have been 86, and it was 84. It's really hard for these teams to nail the timing right, because they can stop the car for a certain amount of time, but they also need to calculate how long it takes from pit in to their box, and then from their box to pit out. And because they're not in the pits like the GT3 cars are, it's hard for them to calculate exactly all of those parameters to get this right. And that's why we see so often pit stops slightly under, and then when you're having to do an extra bit of maths to add a penalty, both penalties that were supposed to be served have been served incorrectly.
And the one thing you can't do is drive down the pit lane and then stop and wait in the fast lane.
No.
People have tried that, and that's always incurred a finger wag or a penalty as well. Michael Schrei there is the race leader. And then behind him now, in second place, is Jack Mitchell. And Jack is actually not quite as quick. I was expecting him to be fractionally faster, but he dropped to 10th on that lap. But the former British Touring Car Championship racer and China GT racer and Mini Challenge racer and Ginetta racer and British GT racer, the list goes on. Jack Mitchell hustling on. Victor Weyrich runs third. In fourth place now, it's Tom Edgar.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, that car's really clambered up the order. Good stint by Berke Bessler, because it started way back on the grid. And then fifth and sixth, Hartwig ahead of Lariche.
In that little battle pack is Jamie Day, who really deserves a good result, because they were on for a good one yesterday, and sadly had that problem with Ruben de la Sarre in the second half of the race.
Car 74, 11-second time penalty added at the end for short pit stop. Car 3, 15-second time penalty added at the end for short pit stop.
Oof.
That's a good way of summing it up. Yes, that is game over for number 3 then. The time penalty for Lariche and Consani, 15 seconds added. That's going to just plummet them down the order. Worst thing that can happen now is a safety car comes out and they drop even further down the mix with everybody bunching up behind. But we've got 21 minutes of the race to go. There is number 3. It's a sad way in a sense for the championship to end for them, with penalties costing them time, but they incurred them.
Legitimate penalties as well. Hartwig looks to the inside of Tom Edgar, who's not been as strong this weekend in that BMW as Berke Bessler, and it looks like he's struggling again. Suddenly the Porsche coming alive in the second stint, maybe being kinder to its tyres than some of the other brands, and Hartwig crawling all over the rear end of the M4.
Tom Edgar was saying to me last week, he was watching at Silverstone, that now that he's a student at King's College, he said, I won't be eating for a week, you know, cost of living and all of that for a student. So it's probably malnutrition that's caused the lack of pace this weekend. What we did see at Misano, though, joking apart, remember when he fended off the Schrei-Piana BMW to the end, is that he's a brilliant defender. And he knows exactly where to position the car, so I don't think this is going to be a walk in the park necessarily for Alexander Hartwig to get by. He's going to have a look on the inside line, but no, Tom Edgar is able to fend him off, so this could be quite a fight now. Tom Edgar will make his elbows that little bit wider, and he's going to try and keep the Porsche at bay. Hartwig is quick, yes, but Edgar, look, defends well, actually stops the car on the apex there, makes him go the long way.
And he goes off the circuit, which is a track limit infringement there, and by coming out of the throttle to keep the car on circuit, that invites Benjamin Lariche back into the party. So Hartwig can attack, but he knows that the number 3 is behind, and the number 3 just needs to go as fast as possible and hope for no safety car, because of course if a safety car happens, bunches the field up, a 10-second penalty plummets you down the field.
Yeah, indeed. That off the road was the GPA Aston Martin with a bit of hit and shoulder from the Chevrolet, and then he got turned around by the Chevrolet. So Kevin Jimenez, graduate of the European Clio and the French Clio series goes around. That car run by David Pouget, GPA Racing, who is still one of the absolute stars of Clio racing. Now, Jack Mitchell, 6 seconds back from the leader. This is the car that is third of Victor Weyrich. That's got 11 seconds to add on the pit stop. So that's going to drop him certainly behind Tom Edgar. So the podium beckons for the Edgar Hartwig battle, doesn't it?
Yeah, so Weyrich has an 11-second penalty, which I think, looking at where we are now, will drop into 9th position. But then Lariche, of course, has his 15-second penalty.
Car 75, 11-second time penalty for short pit stop.
There you go. So that's the penalised car not doing its penalty in full. It's interesting that, though, the penalties are reflecting the amount of time that you are under your pit stop.
Good little fight going on here, which involves number 4 Mercedes and Marco Fulgencio. Also in the mix there, you can see Antoine Leclerc in the white Alpine in the back of the pack, and Antoine Potty in the Toyota, which has had a real up and down season. A couple of race wins, big accident in Misano that wiped out the original car, and they needed to use a spare that weekend, but it struggled here, and Leclerc looked really brave around the outside of Fulgencio, and he's gone through. That's a cracking move.
All because they're kind of stuck underneath the rear wing of Bosanjev in the red and black Porsche for Overdrive Racing. Bulgarian driver there that is up. This is a battle for 14th position now that the Paul Cahout car has jetted off into the distance. The 110 really did lose a lot of time, didn't it? It served its pit stop correctly and served its penalty correctly, but it dropped a good 10 positions from where it was pre-pit stops. That
incident we saw between Dante Rapponge and Kevin Jimenez has been noted, so the stewards will have a look and decide whether there's any action that needs taking against Rapponge. Just bouncing up the curb there is Josh Ratican, who's got himself up past Julien Piguet now into 11th place, the car that won yesterday. Jack Mitchell still falling away a little bit from the BMW, so Michael Schrei, total turnaround from how that car looked in Q1 yesterday morning.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Grand leader.
We're back up to the temperatures that we experienced in qualifying yesterday, but I guess it's just this kind of trial and error and try and make sure you get the best out of the tyre. Side by side, further back, they're swabbling behind Bosanjev. Bosanjev not yet being challenged. In the 8 machine is Potty. The Fulgencio is tucked up behind, and it's Leclerc in the little Alpine trying to go around the outside, but it hasn't worked. And Fulgencio looks to the inside, and there's 2 more coming as well.
So Leclerc in the Alpine versus Potty, and as you say, Bosanjev fending them off at the moment, doing a good job there in the Cayman. That's another of the silver class cars. Marco Fulgencio, number 4, goes by, and the race now with just 16 minutes to run. The GT4 European Series powered by Rafa Racing Club season with just 16 more minutes to run. Battle pack here for 14th place. So the Toyota struggling in this second half of the year, but in this battle, then Leclerc in the Alpine, De Fulgencio in the Mercedes, and then Stefan Parasuti in another of the Alpines. And there, Tom Edgar and Alexander Hartwig run. That opens the door for Lariche on the inside line, and he goes through.
Wow, that was aggressive. Tom Edgar really getting his elbows out, trying to hold on to what effectively is 3rd position.
I told you he could defend.
Yeah.
And he did. And it's gone against Alexander Hartwig. So Hartwig tried the outside line. It did not pay off for him. So Tom Edgar, clearly defensive driving is in the DNA, because you had to be able to defend in Formula 4 1600, which is where his dad excelled. And Tom Edgar fended him off, fended off the Porsche, but that was a big dive up the inside by Lariche. Both go wide because Lariche couldn't get the car stopped. That forced Edgar out wide, and the door is opened back up again for the Porsche. So sadly now, Edgar does lose 2 places, and that was really because of a big, big dive by Lariche, and Edgar had nowhere to go. He was hung out to dry on the outside.
Huge lunge. He was nowhere near being able to do that, but he just made the corner, proper karting move, claim the apex and don't worry about your speed. Speed was good, corner was too tight.
Indeed, but it's gone against Edgar, hasn't it? Because he was forced so far wide, and Alexander Hartwig probably saying to himself, ha, got you. Did go through on the inside, and Edgar's efforts then to hang on a 4th come to naught. So now they're being caught also by Jamie Day, number 5 Aston Martin. Up into 4th place on the road is Lariche, but he's got that penalty to add on at the end of the race.
And it's not fourth on the road because Victor Weyrick has a penalty ahead of him. So actually, effectively, this battle is for the final podium position.
Yes, if you take the penalties out, on the road, Lariche fourth, on the road, Weyrick third. But yes, this in real terms is between Hartwig, Edgar, and now Jamie Day. And they need a bit of luck. Jamie Day and Ruben Del Sart for the Mirage team. They've been so quick this year. This was how it all kicked off initially, with Hartwig being crowded out on the outside. Door was open. Lariche needed no second invitation. Have that place back, he said. Thank you very much. And then at the back end of turn 10, dives up the inside. And Tom Edgar just couldn't turn in because the Audi was alongside.
Yeah. Claim the apex, claim the track. Don't worry about actually how fast you're going on that particular lap, but it did open the door to allow the Porsche back through.
This is the perfect way to win a championship, isn't it, for Michael Schrei, to win the race as well, not just bank the points, but win from the front. And he comes then now into turn 13, still with 13 minutes on the clock, but all he's got to do, is keep out of trouble, tick off the laps. But the pace is good right now. His last lap was a 1:51.6, and that means that he's still quicker than the chasing pack.
Touch wood, it doesn't have that end of year feel, does it? Everyone's being so well behaved in GT4 this season compared to 2022, where there was so much contact and safety cars. It's the level of professionalism has just jumped up this year so much, and it reflects in really close but good, entertaining driving.
Yeah, the championship has moved on again, hasn't it, this year? The driving standards are much better, and the racing, therefore, better as a result. There's another good fight, and we had the change because Antoine Leclerc is ahead of Stefan Bosnagiev now, pushing his way forward, as also De Fulgentio finds himself alongside Andreas Bachmann as they come up towards the line, and 3 wide, because also in the mix there is Laurent Hergon on the Alpine. He's got the inside line, and then Davide Meloni thinks, well, I'll get in on this. He gets a mega toe, but there's just not the width of the road for 4. Alpine clears 1, but not 2. Great stuff. There's 4 of them together, heading down towards turn 1.
And it's going to carry on as well, because Bosniev's only been cleared by 1 car, and so he really is the cork in the bottle.
McLaren has stopped. That's the winning car of yesterday, Josh Rattigan, who was in 10th, and the car has ground to a halt coming out of turn 2 up towards turn 3.
And that changes things, because if they have to recover that car under safety car, the advantages are all closed up. It's a disaster for Weyrick and Lariche and even Giacomo, who's got the penalty further back.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Control Alt Delete, we can get that car going again. Somebody right off the circuit. Is that Laurent Hergon trying to go rally crossing in the Alpine?
I think it was.
They're really good rally cars.
That's true. Always wearing period as well, the original Alpine. And you can see the origins of that in the shape of the new car. But you're right, it's cost in places. Bosnagiev still under attack, isn't he, from Antoine Potti? And heading down towards turn 10. They're not quite nose to tail, but Potti on the defensive. Right, the McLaren's got going again, so there's your Control Alt Delete, and Antoine Potti coming under attack. It is now the Alpine, you can see behind, in the hands of Stefan Parasuti. But together they run. This then is for 15th and 16th, sorry, 16th and 17th places, and Parasuti trying to flush out Potti from 16th ahead of him. 10 minutes on the clock as the cars come over the timing line, but Michael Schrei still clear by over 8 seconds now up front.
Significant for Leclerc to get ahead of Bosnagiev, because he's second in the Pro-Am category, and he didn't need anyone catching him. Side by side into turn 1 again. No changes this time for Fulgencio, keeping Andreas Bachmann at bay.
Antoine Leclerc, who we've been touching on in this battle, has 77 parks again, sadly, so the problems are getting worse. Josh Rattigan out of the race, yesterday's winner, but Leclerc second in Pro-Am, so he's trying to get himself through those cars so he can go after Greg Gilbert for a class win, but I think that's not going to be achievable with 10 minutes to go. Yellow flag out then. Can that car just be pushed out of the way by the marshals? Car 77 going no further. Big battle still here in mid-pack, and Antoine Potti is hanging on to the place.
Yeah, mid-pack of this little battle pack is the battle for second in Am, which is going the way of the San Marinian, I'm not sure that's how you say it, of David Bologna, with Laurent Hergon dropping down to 3rd in that group now. Laurent Hergon winning the 24 Hours in Barcelona 2 weeks ago in a GT3 car, with effectively his team as performance. Motorsport GP. Oh, a little bit wide there. Kicks up the dirt. All the cars go into it, hoping there's nobody on the other side of it. And Bostonyev is being bombarded by attacks around the outside. Tries the Toyota, but it's not going to work because Bostonyev was so defensive on the inside.
Potty ran wide as well, didn't he, which put him on the wronger line going up the hill. So Bostonyev is ahead, and now Potty's under attack from the Alpine behind, that being the car of Stefan Parissuti. So with now just under 9 minutes to go, the leaders have gone through. Michael Schrei continuing to build that gap over Jack Mitchell. And here's the gaggle behind, coming over the timing line for 14th place. Stefan Bostonyev goes by. Still got that yellow flag out with the McLaren having stopped. But Bostonyev for the moment getting away just a fraction because Potty is busy defending rather than going after him.
Little bit of breathing space is probably what he needs. He's been under attack the whole of his stint. The Overdrive Racing Bulgarian squad running 2 cars this weekend. Is there a racetrack in Bulgaria? This was actually something I was doing 2 weekends ago, having a look to see where all these racetracks are in Europe, and I'm not sure there is a single racetrack in Bulgaria.
I'll get back to you on that. You're probably right. I can't think of the name of it. And there's another one that stopped on the podium yesterday, Denis Bulatov, third in class, and the Mercedes has come to a halt. Hopefully not in an awkward place as this gaggle gets ever tighter. Davide Meloni, who joined mid-season with his father. They've got their waved yellow flags at the McLaren stationary, but now we've got yellows in sectors 1 and 2 for the officials to consider.
7 minutes on the clock, 7.5 minutes remaining of the race. Potty scrabbles over the curve. Bostonyev puts himself to the inside line. That's a really bad place to overtake into 9 because 10, you need the momentum all the way down to 10. If you don't have it, you're going to be swamped by other cars. Potty's on the outside, Parissuti on the inside, flashing the lights. And round the outside comes Fulgencio, 3 wide through turn 10. It's not going to work out for the Mercedes. It might work for the little Alpine. Side by side with Bostonyev still, but now on the wrong side of the circuit, and may well find himself being a face full of gravel otherwise. Actually, Fulgencio's somehow wiggled himself down through 1 position, holding that inside. Potty's lost a spot.
Yeah, he's the one getting shuffled back, isn't he, as they come up towards the line.
And Bostonyev holds on, survives another attack.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job, isn't he? Stefan Bostonyev, he goes by, hanging on to 14th place. So down towards turn 1, and this is where you get the last of the late breakers. Potty is on the defensive. Bostonyev has got how many cars in a line behind him now? It's something like 8, isn't it? And yet nobody has yet been able to wriggle by. Every time somebody tries to make a move, he repels them, and they get done instead.
Yeah, exactly. There is Lauren Hergon, the 55 Motorsport GP car, teammate to the Simon Thurman 110 that's up in 9th position. Now down the inside, Parissuti has a space into turn 4, and Fulgencio might follow through as well. Bostonyev really surely can't hold on all the way around the outside. Looked like opposite lock from the Alpine to get through. Managed to make it stick. Opens the door again to Bostonyev at 5, and Fulgencio tries to go around the outside here. But again, if you're on the outside, then you've got curb and gravel to contend with, and they're still side by side. But behind them there, Potty is trying to defend as well. Bostonyev holds on remarkably. Now Fulgencio to the outside of 9. I think he will get that one done. He does before turn 9. That's going to compromise Bostonjev's pace. And Bachmann and Potty, did they swap side? They were the 2 that were side by side. I'm not sure whether they swapped positions or not. Still going on here. Remarkable stuff. Can't quite see who's in what order now. As we follow with the first-person viewer drone, the FPV drone, chasing these GT4 cars around the final part of the lap. There's Bachmann down the inside of Bostonyev, and also gets past, but Potty hasn't. No. Maloney is still ahead of Hergon in the back of that pad for Am.
And Bostonjev's not taking this line down, is he? Because the Porsche is really good in a straight line. And he's back ahead then, coming into the braking zone, as long as he can get the apex, which he does. So Bostonjev 1 back and 1 up again.
Wow.
Except runs off the road and the wrong side of the bollard there.
That's a penalty, as
Could
we've
be.
seen.
Yeah, others have copped it.
Doesn't help anyone who's still stuck behind him, though, does it?
No, it doesn't, because they're still going to get past,
Yeah.
and they're still, because they can't move forward, under attack from those behind. The race leader is up at turn 12 with 4 minutes to go, such is Michael Schrei's pace. He would not believe this battle because he's not seen another car, really, since he took over.
That's a quiet day. That was a test session for Schrei. Now Maloney under big pressure this time from Lauren Hergon. Oh, and he turns around Potty. He was too busy looking in his mirrors and defending, and that's turned Potty around. That's a shame. And there's 3 wide, I think, going into turn 7 as Maloney was slow off turn 5. He then attracted, oh, it's the Cayman in there. Blimey, Dante Raponge is up there into that group now.
So another yellow flutters, and that kind of puts the tin hat on a tough season for the Toyota team, doesn't it? As I said early on, they've had a couple of wins, but a lot of bad luck, and here's more of it. He turns in and bang, the BMW was on the wrong line as far as getting around the corner was concerned, and the Toyota gets harpooned.
Yeah, didn't mean it, but was too busy making sure that Lauren Hergon didn't get past there. And once you bounce over the curbs, you lose front traction. Effectively just bounced into the side of the Toyota. Having a quick look at Julien Piget going through shot there. And we've got another damaged machine. That's Ivan Giacomo. Alex Fontana, sorry, in the other. Oh,
and that's Hartvig. So Alexander Hartvig there has got a big problem. He's got a bit of damage at the back, and the car is crawling round.
I can't believe that there's contact between the two of those, because Fontana's an incredibly professional driver, and Hartvig parks the car in a pretty awkward position on the inside of turn 3, turns the car off so we lose the onboard camera.
Alexander Hartvig, Alexander Hartbrake, here he comes down towards turn 1.
Oh wow, it's a failure.
Yeah, something's broken. Pitches the car sideways, and that's going no further.
On a track where we've taken away 2 big sausage curbs from a chicane, it's quite surprising to have a rear suspension failure like that. Here we go, turns in. Looks like a slide.
Goes off through the gravel.
But our onboard camera definitely tells a different story. That was not just a slide because he got a bit hot. That was definitely a failure.
Failure of suspension or a puncture, because the wheel didn't look loose, but it looks a bit flappy as though a tyre may have gone.
Maybe.
Anyway, it's the end, isn't it, for Hartvig? Real shame. So that now gives you Schrei from Mitchell from the penalised Weyrich 1, 2 and 3. Bostangiv is still having to make the car as wide as he possibly can, and all of that with just over 90 seconds to go.
I want to see what Fontana's problem is coming round the final couple of turns, because if he's got a puncture on the similar tyre, then maybe the Porsche guys have just gone a bit aggressive with their setup. No, he's got damage on the front corner, so he's had contact with somebody.
Yeah, got a witness mark on the door as well.
Oh yeah, no, that was there earlier.
Oh.
That was there in the paddock.
Oh, well, yes.
So that hadn't been cleaned off from yesterday. I didn't notice that. I thought, I haven't got the polish out yet.
32, by the way, that fell in the gravel earlier on, was allowed to continue, and this is in 35th place, having lost a few laps. Down the pit lane has come the battered car of Fontana.
And he's got a rear left puncture.
Has he? Right.
That's the tyre that gets all of the problems.
More drama. That is Tom Edgar off the road now. So the car that was 5th, off coming out of turn 4 and into the barriers.
That's a very weird place to have an accident.
Yeah, and that suggests he had a bit of an assist to do it. Now, the leader has got 33 seconds to go, and he's up at turn 12. It may be that could just be covered for one last lap under a yellow flag, but Tom Edgar is off the racetrack, as here is Michael Schrei. He can afford to back it off and get to the line. Slow. He's got nearly 14 seconds in hand over Jack Mitchell. The clock has 12 seconds on it as he comes up towards the line, but I think he's going to squeeze another lap out of all of this. So Michael Schrei goes across the line now and on to the last lap with just under 7 seconds to spare.
Look at that space between himself and Jack Mitchell, who's fallen away.
5 second time penalty, 5 second time penalty for car 110 for causing a collision.
So Jamie Day's got involved with Tom Edgar here.
And look, it's the Alpine. Look at Paul Cowpay. He's about to get a penalty for causing a collision. And well, I don't see why from that, because it looked like it was the Aston that got involved.
Side-by-side contact has spat that BMW into the wall. Big impact for Tom Edgar. now the 5 has to defend from the little Alpine.
But I don't know what the collision is that the Alpine is judged to have caused, because it didn't look close enough on that to the BMW.
It does put Jamie Day, I think, up into 3rd position in this race, depending on how much time he loses in the last couple of laps, because surely that car isn't driving quite as it should with that side-by-side, wheel-to-wheel contact. The front left will not feel very good. He needs to keep the gap to Victor Weyrich less than 11 seconds to claim a podium here. Bostanyev now with Bachmann around the outside. Where's the yellow flag? Surely there's the yellow flag around there. By the way, Bachmann has made the pass stick.
So they're coming through this section, waiting with the BMW off the road, but...
Well, no, there's a Porsche off the road at 3.
It's true.
Unless it's been cleared.
Might have gone behind the barrier, yeah. But we've got a yellow in Sector 1, yellow in Sector 2. Hopefully the drivers are aware of this anyway on the in-car display. But here for the championship comes Michael Schrei. Gabriele Piana set him up nicely, and the GT4 European Series champions then are Michael Schrei and Gabriele Piana. The last round of the series here in Barcelona goes the way of Michael Schrei and Gabriele Piana. It is the perfect way to win the championship, to win the race as well. And Gabriele Piana is absolutely delighted. Jack Mitchell comes home in 2nd place, sharing with Alex Denning in the car run by Elite Motorsports. So a win and a 2nd for the team, and good results for both combinations of drivers over the weekend. And then for 3rd place on the road, Victor Weyrich and Matthew Villa Gomez. I'm still slightly puzzled as to this penalty for Paul Cowpeg.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's on the screen.
And no penalty for Jamie Day.
No.
Or even an investigation between the accident that put Edgar in the wall.
Waiting to see whether the team say, where's the collision, you know? But I suppose if it's a post-race time penalty, it can get looked at afterwards.
So at the moment, that puts Jamie Day onto 3rd position, because Victor Weyrich has an 11-second penalty. He was 3rd. Benjamin Lariche, 4th with a 15-second penalty. He was 4th. Cal with a 5-second penalty, who was 5th. Jamie Day, who's 6th, is the first car not to have a penalty, which elevates him all the way up, back to 3rd position again, at the moment.
At the moment, yes, key word. So the drivers head next to Parc Fermé, but there is Michael Schrei, 2nd generation racer. His dad was hugely successful in Porsches, and Michael Schrei occasionally races in the sort of young timer historic scene for relatively recent old cars, if you see what I mean, in Germany. Cars of the 80s rather than historic racing. But in modern GT4 machinery has got better and better and better. Coached by Piana, they make a formidable combination. They've had good results in the German championships and
Champions
now in Europe
last
as well.
year.
Yeah, that's right.
So championship winners in 2022 in Germany, 23 in Europe. I don't know where you go next. Schrei and Piana as a partnership with Hoffer Racing and by Bonk as well, who run plenty of BMWs in the one-make M2 CS Racing Cup that is kind of, I think, solely German-based.
Yeah, there's an Italian version, but
is there?
A German version as well,
Oh.
yes, that now supports the DTM, but there has been one in Italy also. Luca Rangoni tended to be the dominant man last time I saw it, with his years of experience. But there, Christophe Amon and Greg Gilbert, the Pro-Am champions. Stellar season for them as well.
Yeah, Hamon really the class of the field in Pro-Am as an AM driver. It's between him and Veruti really as the standout AMs of the year. And they've still got a championship to win in France as well in the next couple of weeks. And they win today, Pro-Am, from Antoine Leclerc and Beauvais. And then Jim Pla and Jean-Luc Bobelic will be on the podium for Pro-Am. Pla did enough to get himself up to 3rd position in the end in that 2nd stint. So something for Speed Car to celebrate. Their guest drivers this weekend, who look like they're all at sea, actually ends up with the podium.
6th win of the year for Greg Gilbert and Christophe Amon. A 3rd of the year for Gabriele Piana and Michael Schrei, our new champions. And as far as the AMs are concerned, it's a 9th out of 12 for Alban Veruti, with Laurent Hergon and Alain Ferté taking the class win yesterday. But 9th, 12th of the season as a win is not bad going at all. The Alpine that's been given this penalty, we're trying to trace the collision, but it's also under investigation for an unsafe release, as Gabriele Piana makes no doubt for anybody who is the champion. And even before Michael Schrei's out of the car, he's atop it to say, I've done it, look at me, aren't I a star? He might need to wait for Michael to get out and join him. But in fairness, Gabriele is the quicker of the two, and a lot of the success is down at his pace. Michael Schrei clambers up onto the roof as well. Perfect second stint. They've done it. That's the GT4 European Series powered by Rafa Racing Club championship pairing of Gabriele Piana and Michael Schrei. Silver champions jumped down from the top of the car. The Pro-Am champions, Greg Gilbert and Christophe Amon, were crowned, of course, at Hockenheim, and Alban Baruti already crowned as the AM champion.
Interesting to see Victor Weyrich parked up in third position, but he is on the timing screens fourth in corrected time. So a little bit of shuffling for the podium people to do. Try and go and find Jamie Day and Ruben de la Sarre to get them on the podium and deliver that awful news to Victor Weyrich, but you missed out. Sorry about that.
So yeah, that puts, as you say, them up to third within the class. The final bit of good luck for the year for Ruben de la Sarre and Jamie Day. It's been overdue, but an excellent job. Let's hear from the champions in silver then, Michael Schrei and Gabriele Piana. They've done it.
Congratulations, 2023 champion.
Thank you very much. It was a long season.
That drive was, sterling towards the end of that race was absolutely brilliant. It was textbook.
It was brilliant. We had a brilliant car. Gabi gave me a brilliant car. He did a great first stint. I think we finished the way a champion should finish, and so we are really happy about the last victory and the championship.
Absolutely. What's next year? Same again?
I don't know, we'll try again.
Back to defend. Congratulations.
Thank you, thanks.
So we'll see them again next year to see if they can retain the title, but now celebrations can start, can't they, for Gabriele Piana, for Michael Schrei, and for the Rafa Racing by Monk Motorsport team. There is still the non-championship 6-hour race planned in Vallelunga in October. It'd be great if the champions were there to see if they can add that to the list. Of course, Carl's invited from the SRO run championships, be it Europe, French, British, Asia or America if they want to make the trip, but also the ADAC's cars from the DTM Trophy, which is for GT4 machinery as well. So hopefully that will give a good grid and a good proper endurance race for GT4. Let's have a look at the results then. Penalties are still being looked at and investigations conducted, but provisionally Michael Schrei and Gabriele Piana the race winners, from Jack Mitchell and Alex Denning, and then Jamie Day and Ruben de la Sarre coming home in third. Victor Weyrich and Matteo Villagomez, the Ecuadorian, fourth, ahead of Greg Gilbert and Christophe Amon, the Pro-Am winners, fifth, and penalised Paul Calpe and Simon Thurman sixth. Seventh in the end, Benjamin Lariche and Robert Constany, ahead of Igor Eklerczyk and Nikolai Muller-Madsen. Ninth, the winning AMs, Julien Piguet and Alban Baruti. 10th, Antoine Leclerc and Jean-Bernard Bouvet. Quite a few hard luck stories, a long list of DNFs, including Alexander Hartwig and Nathan Sharp right at the very end. The Toyota we lost as well after it was turned around. Antoine Potti and Etienne Shelley picking up damage. And the McLaren that won yesterday also retiring late race with mechanical maladies. So the drivers will make their way to the podium very shortly, and then we will be in business for the 3 podiums for the race. Might be that we have a champions podium as well to factor in before the circuit is turned over to the next action. But right now, Michael Schrei and Gabriele Piana and a delighted team letting it all soak in at the end of a fascinating season. Some great racing. We've had a good spread of winners across Silver and Pro-Am. Alban Baruti has very much been the dominant driver within AM, 9 out of 12 wins, but that's not to say that it's going to be the same next year, I suspect. And Ben touched on this in the course of the race, that the categorisation of the driver will be looked at. So as far as the end of season standings in Silver are concerned, it looked like this: Gabriele Piana and Michael Schrei, the champions, from Benjamin Lariche and Robert Constany, Becky Besler and Tom Edgar third, despite ending up in the gravel late race. Etienne Shelley and Antoine Potti next, ahead of Alexander Hartwig and Nathan Schaap, with Victor Weyrich in 6th. 7th, Marc de Fulgentio ahead of Paul Kaupe and Simon Thurman. Then Josh Rattigan and Tom Empson come next, ahead of Dante Reponge. So great racing all year in the GT4 European Series. Some of those troubled cars being brought back into the pit lane. The stewards still with quite a few things to investigate from pit stops, as well as incidents late on. So the result still remaining provisional, of course. And we'd seen that long, long list of DNFs as the teams congregate at the bottom of the podium. Out go cars for McLaren Trophy Europe, and the GT4 field already in, which means that the winning cars across the classes are at the foot of race control. That's the Parc Fermé area. Scrutineering for them to come as well. So the McLaren Trophy field released. That then gives everybody the room in the pit lane to go and celebrate. And we can have a quick look at the highlights then of that final round of the championship, led away by Gabriele Piana. Made a great move to grab the advantage down towards turn one. And effectively the car was never headed. Piana, even with a safety car, was able to build up the advantage in the opening part of the race. And then Michael Schrei hung on to it in the second as the main opposition seemed to cop penalties. Simon Thurman and Paul Kaupe's car early on forced to give back a place after not rejoining the right side of the bollard. A time penalty given also to Robert Consigny for the same thing. And in the end, when the Thurman and Kaupe Alpine did give back the place, it gave back two because it was really hard to manage what was going on in that battle pack behind. Nathan Sharp came under attack initially from Matteo Villar-Gomez, who was able to find a way through, coming out of turn 10, and past he went. That's the unsafe release that's being looked at, getting in the way of another Alpine. Then we had this little bit of a rub between Tom Edgar and Alex Hartwig. The net result of that was that as they came out of turn 5, a very determined Robert Consigny and Benjamin Lariche Audi, with Lariche at the wheel, went up the inside of the BM, forced it out wide and opened the door for the Porsche. Tom Edgar's defence suddenly came to naught. And then Stefan Bostenjev had everybody in the race, it felt like, attacking him up the curve, over the curve, and yet the Porsche remained pretty much impregnable for the bulk of that second stint. A great drive by Bostenjev to fend off all of the traffic. Then contact for the Toyota. It got turned around, and Antoine Potier and Etienne Shelley's championship hopes fizzled out. But for Michael Schrei and Gabriele Piana, win number 3 of the year, and with it, the championship, as the car accelerated up towards the line and honours in Barcelona the silver champions, Gabriele Piana and Michael Schrei. So the podium is underway, drivers making their way forward. And in Pro-Am, already out have come the third-placed drivers of Jim Clark and Jean-Luc Bobelic. For second place in Pro-Am, Antoine Leclerc and Jean-Bernard Bouvet, and the class winners and the champions, Christophe Amon and Greg Gilbert. Great season for Greg Gilbert, yet another title, and switching co-drivers for this year to join Christophe Amon, but the outcome is pretty much the same. More victories, more success, and another championship as the trophies are presented. Jean of the Rafa Racing Club, and the Rafa Racing Club, Rafael Martinez operation, is going to be represented on track in a few minutes because the man himself takes part in McLaren Trophy Europe, and the grid for that race is forming. Trophies then for third, for second, and then the winning team, because the Santalot Junior team operates the Audi, and Christophe Amon and Greg Gilbert eager to get on with the champagne. Trophies first though, and our Pro-Am race winners and Pro-Am champions can celebrate. They are Greg Gilbert and Christophe Amon. The champagne is sprayed, and Antoine Leclerc, who gave it his best shot with different co-drivers over the year, finishing the season second spot, then joins in the spraying of the champagne as well. Pro-Am then won by Greg Gilbert and Christophe Amon at the end of a great season for the Audi drivers, which nets 6 victories at the end of the year. So the podium dressed ready for Silver and Am celebrations. This is how Pro-Am looked in the end. A pretty healthy margin for Greg Gilbert and Christophe Amon. Clear of Antoine Leclerc. And after a disappointing weekend here, Hendrik Still and Max Kronberg coming through for third place. So the podium celebrations will continue, and a great job done by all of the category champions, and some great racing all season. Thanks for your company this year. There's more action from the GT4 European Series to come next year. Bye for now.